Yo, so, Famicom here. You might know me from Instagram, but I've decided to make a YouTube channel because I got bored, because I wanted to procrastinate from work, and I didn't want to do anything else but talk about manga, so here it is. No plans for this channel right now. I'm gonna see how it goes, but I've got a very amateur setup. Doesn't look that great because I don't really have any other space to do this. And I'm in my room at the moment. But yeah, so today I just wanted to go through pretty much anything, and of course, why not start off with some Garo? So I have a presentation due tomorrow, and I don't want to do it, so I'm doing this video instead. So I'm just going to, out of the all the Garo issues I have, I picked one from every decade. So I've got we've got the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. So I think a lot of people don't know the amount, like the variety of stories you can get from Garo. And so I just wanted to showcase this, not just in one issue, but in all of the decades that Garo, sorry, has been alive. But yeah, feel free to give any feedback. I don't really know what I'm doing. I just don't want to do the work for my presentation tomorrow. But yeah, 1966. This one here has a cover by Mizuki Shigeru. It's a really interesting one. Love the green on it. But it's got one of the very big story here. I believe this is translated as like the Book of the Dead, that sort of thing. Mizuki Pro. If you look at the table of contents, I don't read Japanese, by the way, for anyone who knows me from my Instagram. I actually don't know how to read that much Japanese. I am just obsessed enough with manga and alternative manga and anything Japanese in general to Google Translate everything and have a dictionary on me as I read through things. So all these Garo issues that I have, I've just been spending hours and hours just reading them because I'm so obsessed with Google Translate. So I'll do my best to try and read some of this stuff. But yeah, the first one here is by Mizuki Shigeru, which is like 100 pages long, a really long one. Then you have a Yoshiharu story, which is Handcuffs, a Shirato Sanpei story, Kusunoki Shohei, Tsurita Kuniko, Susumu Katsumata, and I think essays. But yeah, so 66, I believe, from my memory, I didn't do any research before starting this, very impromptu, but Garo started in 1964, so look at it here, issue 28. But the first story is the Mizuki Shigeru story, which is essentially about a samurai or ronin that stumbles across a Book of the Dead. And what happens is he meets like a shikigami that appears from the Book of the Dead, which is this old man here, and he plays shogi with the shikigami, with his life on the line. It's an extremely long one. It's a really good one though. I love I haven't read too much Mizuki, but from what I've read, this is probably my favorite. There's this whole like side story thing with like a Doku Hime, which is like a poison princess. Really love that as well. There's a specific panel or page which I really love, which I didn't really expect from Mizuki. Here it is. Very surreal, you know, this is like supposed to be the afterlife. But yeah, really love the story. But it is 100 pages, a very, very long story. So moving on, what else do we have in a 1966 issue of Garo? Well, this here is a Kashihon story by Yoshiharu that was, I think, redrawn and put into Garo, because this here was not released in this issue. This was a Kashihon story, so rental comics. think that says 6 years before this, so 1960, something like that. This is in one of the English versions of Yoshiharu's work. Currently there are 3 up to Nejishiki at the moment. The 4th has been announced, but yeah, you can read this in English, published by Drawn Quarterly. Then the story here, Osen by Kusunoki Shohei, which I've read maybe like 3 to 4 stories about. But yeah, this one here follows a woman named Osen, who is quite well known in the neighborhood. It's supposed to be a wholesome story, but some stuff happens towards the end. Then you've got a Tsurita Kuniko story, also available in English. I'm not sure if this specific story is available in English. She has a book, it's called Konna Hanashi, which means this story. This one's a pretty humorous one. It's about a mangaka who's supposed to be Tsurita herself, trying to get out of paying rent, and she makes this story to scare off her landlord. Pretty good. And last but not least, a Shirato Sanpei story titled War Senso, which is split up into different parts, but it does, you can probably tell, focus on the trauma of war. Pretty good one as well. But yeah, out of everything here, you know, during the 60s, out of all the Garo issues I've read, maybe 20 now, I've read the most Garo issues from the 60s. So I have a lot of 60s issues. I'm trying to do it in order, but sometimes I like do random issues out of order, like 80s and 90s. But yeah, that's just a snapshot of some of the stories and mangaka you can get from a 60s issue. So moving on to the 70s. So 1972 March. This here is a cover by I believe it's Susumu Katsumata. I'm pretty sure this cover is. Yeah. And what type of stories are in here? So you got Nagashima Shinji, Mizuki Shigeru, Roichi Ikegami, forgot who that was, Sasaki Maki, Tsuge Tadao, Yoshihiro Tatsumi, Fujisawa Mitsuo, I think that is. Excuse my pronunciation, it's pretty bad as well. Yeah, first story here is by Susumu Katsumata, which is very cryptic and weird, but I really love how surreal it is. I believe this is also in, I think it was Red Spring is English release. Who else have you got? Okay, so this is Oen no Koi, Chapter 2 by Ikegami. Following, I'm not too sure what this is about because I've only read like 2 chapters, but it follows this woman after a big fire had devastated a town. I believe it's like some sort of drama story, something to do with her husband, but the art from Ikegami is insane. Like, look at that stance, it's crazy. You've also got a Mizuki Shigeru story. I'm not sure what this is about. 18 chapters in, I haven't read it from the start, so Mizuki's still here. Then you've got a Nagashima Shinji story, which is also a continuation of another one of his works. Not really sure what this is about either. Because I read Garo issues out of order, a lot of the times I don't understand the stories because they might be like 5-6 chapters in. Can't really figure out what's going on, but I still flick through because the art is always amazing. So who else do we have? This one's an interesting one. This is Sasaki Maki, the famed nonsense mangaka, doing a manga adaptation of, I believe it was John Lennon's My Fat Budgie song. did not expect to see something like this, but it very much fits the vibe, I think. Especially with all of the weird proportions that Sasaki Maki loves to have in some of his characters. Pretty interesting story. I'd recommend it. You can search up John Lennon's story and read it from there. And if anyone has this issue, you can check this out. Next, Tsuge Tadao, Fuyu no Machi, Wintertown. Again, I am not... I've been getting into, I love Gekiga. My journey with Gekiga and alternative manga and Garo has been amazing. But with my reading schedule, I read, I don't read that much at the moment because I'm so busy. But when I do read, I read like a lot of contemporary stuff, and then I mix it in with Garo and other older stuff. So the rate at which I read Gekiga is very slow. Considering that, I go through and read a Garo issue. That's like 5, 6, 7, 8 stories, just individual chapters. Not like I'm reading a whole collection of a mangaka's work. So I do get through Gekiga slowly, but reading through Garo exposes me a lot to all different styles and storytelling, so that's a plus. This here is by Yoshiharu Tatsumi, titled Artillery. This one's a really good one. Don't believe this is out in English at all. It's a 2-part story, 2-chapter story following this man here, Gen, and I believe his name is. He is a veteran of the war, but he gets sort of bullied a little bit by the town. So really good one. Surprisingly, it involves a sexual innuendo with the canon, which confused me a little bit because I didn't know how to think of this story. Was it a serious one or was it like a funny one? I don't know at all, but it's a good one. That's all I know. It's a good one. Kawasaki Yukio. I don't know much about this person, but this is a 4-page story about like a dream or a nightmare. Very cryptic, very scary, honestly. I don't know, Oyama something? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I didn't really read this because didn't understand what was going on. I think it was a continuation of a story. Yeah. So skip to that. Fujisawa Mitsuo. He does sort of like whimsical stories combined with some Edo elements, I guess. Some of his stuff is a hit or miss for me. Like, the stories aren't that great in my opinion. They don't capture my attention too much, but I love the art. I love the art when he goes very surreal and just chaotic with it. But yeah, personally, I don't really enjoy stories. Got one by Tani Hiroji, who did Guns N' Roses. Also has some stuff in Axe. Great art, very unique. Don't know what's going on though. It's a continuation of a story. And then who else is there? I believe, I forgot the name of this person, but I believe that this mangaka here is the founder of Mandarake. I will have to check out that again, but that's insane. Yeah, this one here was a couple of stories, very short stories. First one was about Kappa. Second's like a love story sort of thing. Amazing art. And yeah, so that was 72, a snapshot, a very brief snapshot of the 70s through one Garo issue. Now, let's move on to the 80s. So, I'll admit, I've only read one 80s issue from Garo. Since I've been just focusing on the 60s and the 70s, this is the only one I've read. And this is one of the best I've read, actually. So, I got a cover by King Terry, Teruhiko Yumura. And this is a 1983 August issue. So you'll see a big shift, of course, with every decade. You'll see a big shift in the style of how the Garo issues look in general, but all of the mangaka that come in. So if you probably notice with this art, this is the first chapter of DDT, I believe, in Maruo's tankobon. So Maruo Suehiro. what sort of people do you have here? You've got Maruo, Kawasaki Yukio. I'm trying to figure out like who's who. Murasaki. Yamada Murasaki. Who else is there? Because I haven't read that much 80s, I don't know too much. I think this is Ebisu. I'm pretty sure this is Ebisu. Kondo Yoko, Nagashima Shinji. Yeah, a lot of different artists, but I love this one, especially the color pages. It's developed a lot. Extremely dark, extremely vibrant colors. But yeah, I got a short Maruo, Kawasaki Yukio. Amazing backgrounds. Very dreamlike story as well. We move on to, I'm not too sure who this is, unfortunately. Flashback was kind of a crazy one. I don't know if I can show it. Probably can't. Yeah, he literally eats shit in that one. It's about like a psycho killer. Then I think this is Haga Yuka Haga, maybe. I'm sorry for the inability to pronounce any names. I am illiterate in Japanese. But yeah, this one is, oh, this is a great one. It's very weird. This farmer here, lady visits her grandpa or relatives. She finds like dinosaur bones and a fruit, feeds it to this dad or grandpa, and he turns back into normal. Don't know what the point of it was, but it was fun to read. That's that's Nemoto, Takashi Nemoto, very famed Heta Uma artists. I gotta be careful next time. This one, surprisingly though, inside had no nudity or vulgar topics at all. Something about him going to the pool and being lonely. Personally, I don't really vibe too much with Nemoto's artwork just because there's so much genitalia in it. If it didn't have that much, I would love it. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion. We've got some other mythological stories. What else is there? Oh, this is like a, how do I describe this? Reality bending sort of story. Kid smacks a fly, and that fly becomes like a giant monster that slaps him back. The fly people here. Pretty humorous one. Just turns out he was daydreaming the whole time. Yeah, you've got some Yamada Murasaki, which I haven't started reading yet. Very weird stories. There we go, we've got an Ebisu story. Akarui Machi, bright city, bright town, something like that. I don't believe, no, this story isn't in Pits of Hell or I Want to Be Stupid, the English versions. It's just in this. It's about like a homeless man being taunted by ladies. I can't really show what comes next. And last but not least, there we go. Kano Osamu, The Landscape with Cows. So I wrote a blog post on this because this is one of the best manga one-shots I've ever read. It's about this man here, this husband, who had recently been, he finished his hospital visit and he was admitted for neurosis. And he has this desire of becoming a cow, and it's a whole story about identity. Why is it wrong to be a cow? You know, what's wrong with that? Looking at how people see others, perceptions of the self, etc., etc. This one's really, really good. I do really want to find more Kano Osamu stories. But yeah, that's a snapshot of the 80s, second last decade, 90s. Here's a April 1997 issue, cover by the iconic artist Toshio Saeki. I got this volume from Sean from Japan Book Hunter. Shout out to him. This one's thick compared to the rest of the issues we had so far. This one's like physically heavier. A lot of Eroguro stuff. I should be careful. I keep forgetting. Just going back. what does this issue have? We've got Usamaru Furia, QBB, Nishioka Kyoudai, Kawaii Katsuo, Ayai Akiko, Shiriagari Kotobuki, Kawasaki Yukio as well. Yeah, a big change in artists as well. You still see some that we saw before, but we've got a Moto Hideyasu one. I've done a post on this as well. It's like a love story with these little fairies as wingmen. I'm not sure who this is by, but this is like a gag comedic sort of story. This one's really weird. I have no idea what this is about, but it had some insane double page spreads like this. I think he's like having like a trip or something. I don't know what is going on here, but it's insane and I love it. Yeah. Then you got a Nishioka story. This story here is actually translated into English, the name of it, in I believe it's called Kus magazine. Like those, oh, give me a sec, let me get it. Here we go. Kus did like a Japanese issue, very tiny book if you look at it, of different manga cards, all a special Japanese issue. And where is it? There should be a Nishioka Kyoudai. I can't read. Oh, Our Flock. There we go. Our Flock, dubbed as Nishioka Brosis. And you've got like a color page by Sakabashira. This one, highly recommend. It's a very small book, but it gives you like a good snapshot into alternative and more underground artists. But yeah, this one's translated in English. Probably the only thing translated in English before the Kafka comics came out, which I also had somewhere. Okay, here I've got it. So recently, Pushkin Press, who've never done manga before, published an English version of this. It's Nishioka's adaptation of Franz Kafka's short stories. So you've got very iconic stories in here, like The Metamorphosis, Arabs and Jackals, what else? Country Doctor, Hunger Artist, all of that stuff. Recently released. Apparently, I heard it's the reading sequence is different. But yeah, check that out. Very first big work of Nishioka, translated in English recently. But yeah, I really love Nishioka, one of my favorite mangaka duos of all time, and just mangaka in general. I've got to skip this, some nude stuff. Whoop. Got some kawaii Katsuo, jungle gym, about a dude that dies in a jungle gym and haunts his students and teachers. Short one. Here, I've got another good one. Oh, I'm trying to remember the name. Shigeyuki Fukumitsu, I believe. I'll try to put stuff, the author names in the description. But yeah, this one's a great one. It's about like a guy dreaming in some place with a robot. This story here is kind of weird too, I forgot the name of it. It's about like a apocalypse where men are in demand and they need a breed. Yeah, this is the apocalypse. Only women were left, but they were left with like the DNA of men. And so in the future they would create a world where it's just women and robot men. But yeah, moving forward, this story here is one of my favorite stories ever. Unfortunately, this mangaka here has only done one manga chapter in all of Garo. You can check out my Instagram post on this, so of this issue, you can find that there. But it's called The Boy in the Boy in the Clock Tower. Boy in the Clock Tower. It's a time-lapse story. So I think I don't have to explain too much of what a time loop story is, but it's done so well. And the art, it's like very, how do I describe it? I'm not sure, but it's very effective. Extremely effective, especially with the gore. The Garo side of things. But yeah, one of the best time loop stories I've read. Moving on. What else is there? I'm not entirely sure. Oh, this one's an interesting one. Ishikawa Jiro, who I don't know made manga. I guess it's not. Yeah, it's manga. I only know him from like Le Denu Cri. They've printed some of his stuff before, but it's telling a story. This story here is telling like a love story through postcards. And it doesn't end well. It does not end well. Yeah, that is a snapshot. Again, a very brief snapshot of the 90s Garo issue. So last but not least, I don't have many of these, but here we have a 2000s issue. 2001 with a cover by Yoshikazu Ebisu. So unfortunately this is a little bit water damaged, so I can't really open it properly. But I haven't read this yet. This I picked up recently. Notice here, Nekojiru chapters. Let's see what else is in. Oh, there's a Hino Hideshi chapter. What does that say? Shonen? Nah, I can't read it. Who else is there? Ebisu is here. Kikuchi Hironori is here. QBB. Sakabashira Imiri is here. Anything else I can... Nah, I can't recognize anything else. But yeah, have not read this. Here are some color pages from the Nekojiru chapter. I have never read anything Nekojiru yet. I know there's an anime. I really want to watch that soon after I'm done with everything. Yeah. Oh, I think this is the Hino. Yeah, it is. Hino chapter. Sorry for all the crackling. That's the water damage. Garo issue doing its work. Very interesting style. I'm more used to like, someone dying in the first few pages, but I do know that Hino does like other sci-fi stories and whatnot. It is very interesting seeing his style like this. But yeah, Hino chapter. Do not know that. Haven't looked at this issue before. So just a flick through of some of the stuff. This is an Ebisu work. I don't know when exactly Ebisu stopped drawing manga, but because this is the late 2000s, it's like you can tell his art is different compared to his like, Pits of Hell, I Wish I Was Stupid era, which I believe was 70s or 80s, something like that. A lot more simple, but still Ebisu. What do you have here? Oh, Kikuchi Hironori chapter by him. It's crazy. Can't really find Alchemical. Forgot the name. Here's an art book or manga book. Alchemical something. Haven't been able to find that at all. But yeah, it's a very interesting. You can tell like a lot of Heta Uma works from like the 70s onwards. Because in like the 60s and 70s, how I see it, it's like 60s, you got Mizuki, you got Shirato Sanpei, Takita Yu, or like Shinji Nagashima, that sort of stuff. And then you're in the 70s, where you have like Hayashi, Seishi Hayashi, or Oji Suzuki, Shinji Abe, a lot of the more surreal Gekika stuff. 80s, from what I've seen, a lot more Eroguro, Heta Uma coming in. 90s, even more Heta Uma. 2000s, I can't really comment on that. I don't really know because I haven't read much yet. But yeah, big rise in Heta Uma, which I love. Yeah, this is a great one for any Sakabashira Imiri fans. big 2-page spreads of chaos. I personally haven't read much from Imiri before, but I do want to read more. This is Jun Hatanaka, a very erotic story, so I probably shouldn't show it. Yeah, just essays and stuff, and promos at the back. So, that was a brief snapshot of some Garo issues, just one from every decade that it's been alive for. But yeah, very impromptu video. I just didn't want to do my work, so I procrastinated and did this instead. So apologies for like the background and the lighting and stuff. It's kind of the only place that I have that I can record something like this. So it will kind of look very amateurish, and maybe the sound quality won't be that good. But I'll see what I can do going forward. But yeah, see you guys. Bye.